Well, for over 1,000 years, this place has provided rest and support for countless pilgrims from Ireland and beyond. And today, it's my turn to take the 3-day pilgrimage here at St Patrick's Purgatory in Lough Derg with my pilgrim friend, Monsignor Curry. Wish me luck. Let's do it. Hello.
How are you today?
We're not too bad. A little bit nervous, but...
You're prepaid, so that's your wee leaflet and your boat pass and your bed number.
Great.
And that's yours, Father.
Thank you.
Okay.
Of course, you've done this so many times now, far more than I have. This is my second visit, but
Only your second.
Only my second. But what is it that draws people back?
I'm not too sure. I keep asking myself that too, and probably I will, maybe at 4 o'clock in the morning, say I will never come back here again. And yet, you know, I do feel drawn back to it, and it's difficult to know why people come, knowing what's ahead of them and all the rest of it. But personally, I would find it's one place where I just get in touch with my own spirit and with God's spirit, and I think it's very, very unique. And I think it's unique in many respects. I don't think there's any other place of pilgrimage which combines the penitential dimension to the degree that Lough Derg does. So it's quite unique in that respect.
Well, I suppose we can't put off the inevitable. I'm quite looking forward to it. One thing's for sure, we've got the weather on our side. Yeah. It's a beautiful day. I think we better get going.
The boat's waiting.
Boat's waiting. Thanks, St Patrick. And off we go.
The first part of my pilgrimage journey began by boat, bringing us the short distance across to Station Island, or Lough Derg as it is now commonly known, with everyone on arrival receiving a warm welcome by resident pastor Father Owen McEnany.
Malachi, you're welcome. It's great to see you for a second time. And like yourself, so many people and ourselves ask, what is it that brings pilgrims back again and again? And when you get talking to them and scratch the surface with them, you very clearly pick up, what it is. There's something about this sacred holy place that draws people back. And the place itself seems to heal people. Some of them work through a lot of stuff while they're here. Others of them, I suppose, in a way, just leave themselves open to the pilgrimage and the nature of it, and it brings them over the couple of days, I suppose, to a place within themselves where they encounter their deeper selves. And also for many of them, especially those who are of the Christian belief, they come to a deepened awareness of the Christ, and there's healing in all of that. And then there's of course, the sacrament of reconciliation. I always mention it on the second morning. People have been up all night. You would say they're so vulnerable that they haven't been up all night. But no, at a deeper level, they are so awake to what is happening within them and so open to the outpouring of God's tender mercy. It's quite amazing just to witness that. And I'd say, talking to the other priests who work here, if you had a chance to talk to them, they would vouch for that as well. That's a very special moment. But it's where it's situated in the context of the overall pilgrimage that I think makes it so powerful.
For those watching that may have never been to Lough Derg but have heard of it, talk us through the pilgrim journey here.
Oh yes, well, when you arrive, you arrive on the mainland and then you come across on the boat, and the first thing you do is to go to the accommodation areas, and you'll be shown to your bed, which of course you don't use on the first night. That's for night number 2. And you take off the shoes and the socks, and then you make your way up the island here towards the Basilica. And you'll know the first day pilgrims, they're moving fairly fastly, quickly as they journey up the island. But then within the hour you will notice that they have started to slow down. They've got into the rhythm of it, and there are a number of station prayers. They are repetitive, yes, but they have a lovely pattern to them. They're mainly focused on the penitential beds, which we were looking at earlier there, Malachi, and you know them very well from being on pilgrimage, where you start walking around the outside and then you kneel at the entrance. And I think of that as kind of the door open to God and to the deeper mystery of God and of faith. And then you walk around the inside of the bed, and then you kneel at the cross in the centre. And if you just watch the pilgrims there, you can almost see them slowing down and that moving towards the centre of themselves, that deep centre, and of course the centre that is God for us believers.
And Father, what is particularly unique about people travelling on this journey barefoot?
Yes, that has always been central to Lough Derg, and while some aspects of the pilgrimage may have been updated over the years, taking off the shoes and the socks, that's never going to be. We would never even dream of changing that. You ask me what's the significance of it. It's I suppose it has that dimension of penance to it. In the old days, people had a greater sense of penance, but for our modern day pilgrims, some of them would see that as still very important. But it's more about everybody being on the same level and equal. But as they move through the couple of days, I think it takes on an even deeper meaning. And I sometimes tell the wee story when I'm preaching there in the Basilica about a friend of mine who used to tell the lovely story about her dad. He was a gardener and he had a glass house out the back, and in the springtime he'd plant the little seeds and the bulbs in the clay, and then for days or maybe weeks afterwards he'd be tripping in and out every day to see could he observe the first of the little green shoots peeping above the crust of brown clay. And on the day that he'd see the first of the green shoots, what would he do? He'd take off his hat and he'd bow in adoration of the mystery of creation and of nature unfolding before his very eyes. Now, how I link that with our pilgrims is they don't necessarily take off hats. Deeper or not deeper, but more symbolically really, they take off their socks and their shoes. They walk on sacred holy ground, that is Lough Derg, and you can almost see them internally within, quietly bowing in adoration as they encounter the mystery that is God and themselves at one with God. And coming out of that then is that peace that they talk about, the peace that is not just the setting of the island, its uniqueness, but it becomes an inner reality, that peace.
Well, as you heard from Father Owen, it's all about peace, rest, and of course the importance of pilgrimage. And you have to get your shoes and socks off, which I've already done. And of course I've got my pilgrim guide for the 3 days here on Lough Derg, St Patrick's Purgatory. The pilgrimage really begins now, although I have been fasting from 12 o'clock midnight, and the hunger is starting to kick in, but it's the heat. It's beautiful, the weather's beautiful, but I wonder, will it play a part in my pilgrimage journey? Here's hoping it's a good one, and let's get started.
The traditional 3-day pilgrimage here at Lough Derg follows a 1,000-year-old pattern. You start the traditional series of station prayers, walking around the basilica, and then on to the penitential beds of rock. Thoughts soon turn to reflect on the countless bare feet who have travelled this path before me.
I'm halfway through my first station here on St Patrick's Purgatory here in Lough Derg, and I must say so far I don't find it too taxing at all, not sore on the feet as I expected. And the one thing that has struck me is the great sense of calm and peace and tranquility here. Of course, the weather's beautiful, you're just at the water's edge, and everyone just seems to be on a solitary journey, taking their own time at their own pace, bringing their own stories here to Lough Derg. Many people I've spoke to so far, it's either thanksgiving or here looking some grace from God. I have a lot more to go, but so far so good. I need to keep going. Well, a very warm welcome back to our very special programme from Lough Derg. And Father Roberts here, he knows a thing or two about Station Island and of course Saints Island as well, which is right behind us.
Malachy, Saints Island is the first place of welcome which was in this lake. The whole monastic area around the lake was known as the Charman, a place of welcome, a place of safety. Saints Island is where the original monastic site was here at Lough Derg. It traces its origins back to any of the biblical tradition of people going to a quiet place to pray, just like Christ and the apostles, or some of the prophets in the Old Testament. And the monks who welcomed people here to Saints Island, they provided the welcome, they provided prayer, they provided some of the wisdom that they might have had from their books, from their learning, from medicine. People came here for safety as well. The Charman, or the monastic ground, was known as a safe place for them. And we'd like to think that here in Lough Derg people can come with whatever problems, whatever baggage, that they can come to this pilgrimage site and see it as a safe place for them too. The monks realised, though, of course, that so many people were coming to spend time with them that they needed themselves to find an even quieter place for prayer. So they travelled into the most remote island in the lake, which is Station Island, which everybody now calls I'm doing Lough Derg, but really they're going to Station Island to follow in the traditional prayer that the monks lived out on Station Island. Station Island, the monks built their little monastic cells, which you've been praying round, which you've been walking around kneeling on. And these cells in time were damaged during the Reformation. Some of the monastic cells were dismantled, were thrown into the lake. People came back and they rebuilt them. And what we see now on Lough Derg, on Station Island, is just the remains of those monastic cells. There was also a cave on Station Island in which pilgrims spent time in prayer, and a cave which became very well known throughout Europe. On any of the earlier maps of Europe, you'll see Purgatorium Sancti Patrizi is quite often the only